The definition of hypocrisy: the practice of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own behavior does not conform. So basically it means talking the talk, but not walking the walk. So by this definition, Rami Salaam is a hypocrite.
Peace, 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 peace. I'm Rami Salaam. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. For new Moors that are watching this right now, people that are just coming into this Moorish information, please listen closely. Don't believe what I say. I encourage you to look up everything that you see, everything that you hear, and most importantly, judge everything based off of what Noble Ali said. Why? Because he is a prophet. I'm not claiming to be a prophet. I'm not the leader or the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Noble Ali. We're supposed to be following his lead, and we gotta stick to that principle. And also understand that as we go through this is about principle. For Moors that have been aware about this information, I encourage you to listen to what I'm saying. Don't believe what I'm saying. Hold me accountable. If I said something that was incorrect, please inform me. Let me know where I was mistaken, if I made an error in any place.
Isn't it fascinating how he speaks in this soft voice and with gentle hand gestures to try and make you think he is being sincere? Then he throws in a, "Don't believe what I say, go research it for yourself." The catchphrase that we all use, hoping to give what we are saying some credibility. The difference is, some people use that catchphrase knowing that some of our people are lazy and won't research the info and take what they say at face value, while others that use that catchphrase actually really want you to research what is being said. Rami, on the other hand, is actually manipulating that catchphrase by adding a twist to it. He is hoping that you do go and research what he said, because if you do, you will find what he mentioned. The twist comes where he knows you won't research further than what he said to see where his hypocrisy lies. He is hoping you think the Moor with a soft voice and gentle hand gestures seems so kind. He has to be sincere and completely honest. Rami is also constantly encouraging the listener to judge everything that he says based on what Prophet Noble Ali says. This is a twist on the catchphrase that a lot of these same Moors use. We are bringing what Prophet Noble Ali brought. Once again with a soft voice and gentle hand gestures, and hoping that Moors that are less studied think he is telling the truth and being sincere. And then he proceeds to read from Prophet Noble Ali's warning to the nation.
But to answer the question, why does Rami care so much? Why is he making these videos? Why is he talking about what Cujo is? Why does he care so much about what Cujo is saying and doing? Let me explain. It's what Noble Ali said. The Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. We'll get to that later. It says a little further down.
Once again, reading in a soft voice and with gentle hand gestures. And when he reads the part stated, "We are for peace and not destruction," he pauses and looks into the camera for dramatic effect. All this is to manipulate the viewer into thinking he is honorable.
We are for peace and not destruction.
But what he fails to realize is, with Moors that actually study, we don't have to go that deep into Noble Ali's literature to see Rami's clear violation and hypocrisy. It is very simple. All we have to do is use something that pretty much every Moor should have in their possession: the divine constitution of Moorish America. Let's work backwards and start with Act 5 of the Divine Constitution of Moorish America. Act 5 reads, "No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby." The question that Moors ask about Act 5 is, which said government, laws, and constitution is the Prophet speaking about? The thing is, if the Prophet told us to enforce the Constitution, and a Constitution is the supreme law of the land in every country on the planet, then we are to enforce the Constitution of the said government in any land that we domicile, including our own divine Constitution of Moorish America. And this is why we are not to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. This is universal. So let's go to the Constitution of the United States of America and read the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment reads, "A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." This is what Rami won't tell you. He won't tell you that Rise of the Moors is not breaking any laws. He won't tell you that Rise of the Moors is not going against the divine constitution of Moorish America. He won't tell you that Rise of the Moors is not going against the Constitution of the United States of America. What Rami is hoping is that his soft voice and gentle hand gestures will manipulate you into thinking he is correct in what he is saying about Rise of the Moors, all while saying,
"It had to be true. I can't be hypocritical."
So Rise of the Moors is not breaking any constitutional laws of the United States of America, nor any constitutional laws of the divine constitution of Moorish America. And, so far, neither is Rami. Now let's move up to Act 4 of the Divine Constitution of Moorish America. Act 4 reads, "All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government, and must live the life accordingly." This is where Rami's hypocrisy is apparent, because this is where his second violation appears. Now, of course, Rami violating Act 4 may not be obviously clear to many. So for that clarity, let's go to Act 3 of the Divine Constitution of Moorish America. Act 3 reads, "Love, truth, peace, freedom and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love." Once again, no citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Rami put out a video claiming that Rise of the Moors are domestic terrorists. Let me repeat that again. Rami put out a video claiming that Rise of the Moors are domestic terrorists. That is the absolute height of falsely accusing his brother or sister and putting them in a dangerous, life-threatening position. The absolute height. All while trying to manipulate the viewer into thinking he is correct, because he is talking in a soft voice and with gentle hand gestures. This is absolutely disgusting. Rami is not only falsely accusing Rise of the Moors with his insinuation, but also putting Rise of the Moors, their family and children, in harm's way. Just think about this for a moment. What does the United States government do with so-called domestic terrorists? Here, let's let Rami tell you.
Because this is not a game. And for those watching that may not understand why I'm coming at it like this, let me break it down. The U.S. government, particularly the FBI, is calling people in the sovereign citizens domestic terrorists. They are calling people in the sovereign citizen movement, people that call themselves sovereign citizens or promote sovereignty or even try to use that kind of logic, that kind of thinking. They are labeling, classifying those kinds of people, those groups, as domestic terrorists. Why is this important? Well, what is the U.S. doing to terrorists all around the world? So-called terrorists. Be it the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, the so-called ISIS, whatever group they want to create. I mean, this out there, not that they created it. But what are they doing? Bombing them, going after them, sending thousands of troops, billions and trillions of dollars. War. A war on terrorism. So, if they're doing that to people over there, what do you think they're going to do to domestic terrorists? You think it's going to be all peaches and rainbows and flowers and daisies? No. No, it's not. And the people that are trying to associate Moors and Moorish Americans to sovereign citizens are thereby trying to associate us and classify us as domestic terrorists, so that the U.S. government and those three-letter agencies can bring war on us. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by the prophet.
So Rami knows exactly what he's doing, and the danger that he is causing to a fellow Moor, the Moor's wife, and children, yet clearly does not care. And to make things worse, the title of his video is, Moorish Americans Do Not Support, insinuating that all Moorish Americans agree with his hypocrisy and deliberate violation of Act 3, all while attempting to put rise of the Moors on an island by themselves, and putting key trigger words in his video like real Moorish Americans, trying to manipulate the viewer into thinking that he is a real Moorish American, and that only real Moorish Americans agree with him. What the hell is a real Moorish American? All these violations cloaked in a soft voice, and with gentle hand gestures to try and pacify you and distract you from his absolute abhorrent tactics. Absolutely disgusting. So say what you want about Grand Sheikh Cujo Adwoel, and how he speaks to people online, and how he is always talking about dirty Moors and traitors, etc. You have never heard him attempt to label a Moor anything that would bring a foreign corporate entity's military down on that Moor, his wife and children. Never. Even if the Moor was selling packages for $7,000, $10,000, or $20,000, Grand Sheikh Cujo Adwoel never attempted to label a Moor anything that would bring a foreign corporate entity's military down on that Moor and his family. Never. But for some reason, Rami comes with his soft voice and gentle hand gestures, and this distracts some so-called studious Moors enough so that they do not recognize his supreme violation. Absolutely disgusting. This is a clear violation of Act 3 of the Divine Constitution of Moorish America, and thus by his violation of Act 3, he has automatically violated Act 4. And being that all constitutions are the supreme law of its respective land, the Divine Constitution of Moorish America is the supreme law of Moorish America. Rami did not even make it past Act 3 of our Divine Constitution. Yet Rami will say,
all true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by the prophet.
And
you have to be true. I can't be hypocritical.
Rami is being hypocritical. So Rami can say what he wants about the Supreme Grand Council and what Grand Sheikh Cujo is saying, but Rami did not even make it past Act 3 of the Divine Constitution of Moorish America, and no soft voice and gentle hand gestures or key catchphrases like,
don't believe what I say. I encourage you to look up everything that you see, everything that you hear,
and deny the fact that Rami blatantly put a fellow Moor, regardless of if he agrees with the other Moor's viewpoint or not, and his wife and child, in an environment to be severely violated by the United States government. Rami said it himself.
Because this is not a game. And for those watching that may not understand why I'm coming at it like this, let me break it down. The U.S. government, particularly the FBI, is calling people in the sovereign citizens domestic terrorists. They are calling people in the sovereign citizen movement, people that call themselves sovereign citizens or promote sovereignty or even try to use that kind of logic, that kind of thinking. They are labeling, classifying those kinds of people, those groups, as domestic terrorists. Why is this important? Well, what is the U.S. doing to terrorists all around the world? So-called terrorists. Be it the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, so-called ISIS, whatever group they want to create. I mean, it's out there, not that they created it. But what are they doing? Bombing them, going after them, sending thousands of troops, billions and trillions of dollars. War. A war on terrorism. So, If they're doing that to people over there, what do you think they're going to do to domestic terrorists? You think it's going to be all peaches and rainbows and flowers and daisies? No. No, it's not. And the people that are trying to associate Moors and Moorish Americans to sovereign citizens are thereby trying to associate us and classify us as domestic terrorists so that the U.S. government and those three-letter agencies can bring war on us.
That makes Rami the epitome of a hypocrite and a true sellout. Rami has the nerve to speak about El-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz, aka Malcolm X, and the NOI, and he knows that Minister Farah admitted to creating the environment for El-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz to be murdered. So Rami knows exactly what he is doing with Rise of the Moors. And we see through his soft voice and gentle hand gesture hypocrisy. Rami said it himself.
You know what you're doing. And justice will come to you. Not from me, not from any more, not from any human being. The Creator.
Rami will get his payback from Allah. So Rami can quote all the Prophet Noble True Ali quotes he wants. He can come in our chat while there is a live YouTube video happening and quote all the sayings from Noble True Ali. Just like a Christian church pastor, picking and choosing what quotes he can use to pacify his congregation, hoping that they won't see through his hypocrisy and BS. Hey Rami, here is a Bible quote for you. Proverbs 11, verse 9. A hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor, but through knowledge the just shall be delivered. Nothing will change the fact that what Rami did is worse than any dirty Moor selling packages, worse than any so-called black people making videos attacking Moors, etc. Rami created an environment for a fellow Moor and his family to be fatally harmed. And if anything happens to Rise of the Moors, that will be on Rami's soul, because Rami knows exactly what he is doing. Rami said it himself.
You know what you're doing. You have to be true. I can't be hypocritical.
Rami is the epitome of a hypocrite and a sellout. Yuck.
So, and then Farrakhan apologized. He said, I'm sorry for making it, I'm paraphrasing. He said, I'm sorry for making it, for making the environment for it to be okay for him to be murdered. So now think, Rami Salaam, you fucking idiot, if you're for love so much, you think it's okay to put the phrase domestic terrorist and then put a fucking picture of me there? You idiot? What type of subliminal image are you putting in people's minds, you fucking idiot?
Peace Wars. So we had to replay this one. We had to replay this one because they shut down the Cujo LIG. Cujo LIG shut down right now. So said we might as well do this one again. Get this one out there again so that the people are clear with the position that we're taking with this traitor that we'll call him for now Rami Salaam El. We don't even know if that's who he is. We're paying attention to, we're also paying attention to all of the Kwame Brown bandwagon people right now who are cheering him on because he's his mama's son and his mama's cooking, everybody's getting some. But it's interesting that these same Moors who are bandwagoning Kwame Brown, talking about corruption and dirty people who look like him, are going to say that Cujo's mean and Cujo shouldn't be talking like that. And why is Cujo this and that against Rami? That's his brother and all that stuff. Charlemagne's Kwame's brother. How come you guys not talking BS about that? Steven Jackson's Kwame's brother. Could be not bringing up the brother stuff with him. How come he's getting a pass? And he could curse and tell people all types of stuff. But Cujo exposing dirty Moors, oh, we can't have that. That shouldn't be happening because Allah is love and all this crap. Are you Rami hypocrites out there? Check yourself. Check yourself. All the Negro black hypocrites out there, check yourself. Now, you don't want to ride with the Moors, but you're riding with Kwame Brown, who's doing the same thing that the Moors are doing. He's talking about constitutional rights. He's talking about right to bear arms. He's going to the range to go shoot and all that because he has a right to that. He's talking about he has a right to free speech, so he's going to say whatever he wants. But if he goes on the European channel, he's not going to curse because he already knows how they get down. But on his channel, he's going to do what the hell he wants. He's going to say that he's Geechee, which is Aboriginal and Indigenous and all that. But you're going to ride with that, but you're not going to hear what the Moors are saying. Well, it's all good. We're not concerned like that. We're not concerned like that. We're just sticking our head out from under the veil and letting you see your own hypocrisy. Because obviously, you don't see your own hypocrisy. Obviously, our people don't see that they're a bunch of black-hearted hypocrites. They're black-hearted because they call themselves black. And they're hypocrites because they always see the hypocrisy in others, but never see the hypocrisy in themselves. And then they want to come talk about Moors, put people in slavery so we're not Moors or whatever. Please. Stop the dumb stuff. Stop the dumb stuff. Right? Etheric God, there's only the Moorish nation. You're not creating anything in order for Moors to belong to that or whatever, because we're not lords, we're not gods, we're not master teachers, we're Moors. And the 5 civilized tribes are El, Be, De, Al, and Ali. That's the 5 civilized tribes. You know, 5 civilized nations of Cherokee and whatever like that. That's a fiction. So you can take all that Dane Calloway BS and get that stuff the hell out of here too. Because we're not riding with any of that either. And honors to Autochthonous One, the only competent Aboriginal, Indigenous, whoever, who declared his nationality and told them to their face, I'm a Moor. I'm a Moor. Now, you're not going to tell me anything. I don't care what you people are studying. I'm a Hanu El. I'm a Moor. I did my own research, not just from Moors. Did my research from everybody. And everybody has something good to say about the Moors. Only people who talk BS and people who have agendas and evil intentions are going to tell you some crap about Moor. Don't let me put the... Because if you're talking BS in the chat, we have a phrase over here. Push the button. Since you're talking BS. And anybody else out there who's talking BS. Right? What happened to the real... We're going to switch it up. What happened to the real Rami Salaam El? What happened to the real Aboriginal and Indigenous whoever? What happened to the real Rastafarians? What happened to the real Nation of Gods and Earths who know that they're Ellen Bay? What happened to the real NOI who know that they're Ellen Bay and they wear fezzes, and we have pictures of them wearing fezzes in the 1930s and calling Fard Muhammad reincarnated Noble Drew Ali, Prophet Fard? Where's all the real Black Power whoever that would be singing Public Enemy and X-Clan, and X-Clan has fezzes on? Oh, you're going to sing some X-Clan and all that stuff, but you don't realize that they got fezzes on? You missed that part? Leather fezzes the whole time? And then you're gonna miss the whole time Africa Bambaataa in a fez or whatever. Back then, fez is up. Oh, but you're not gonna go there? No. All right. Like we said, etheric God, push the button. If you got so much to say that you got, you know what I mean? You brought the whatever for our people. If you brought the whatever for our people, then push the button and promote your thing that you brought for our people, because we want to know. Because a lot of you people talking crazy like you're greater than Noble Drew Ali. A lot of y'all talk like you're greater than Noble Drew Ali, and we think you're not. Oh, thanks for reminding me, Sacred Grove. And Khalid Muhammad, where's all the real Khalid Muhammads who went up there and said, I'm a Moor? Got sense enough to know I'm a Moor. But you're not going to ride with that, right? But you're going to ride with Black Power, and you're black and all that stuff. And the king of Black Power said he's a Moor, but you're not Moors. The Moors in the Congo cutting off Congolese hands and stuff, so you're not a Moor. All right. How come you didn't talk BS to Khalid? When Khalid said he's a Moor, how come you didn't go debate him? Grab the mic from him? What do you mean you're a Moor? We're black people. No, nothing? Quiet? I get it. I get it. No, I get it. The same reason why Kwame Brown stayed quiet for 20 years. Well, we weren't quiet. As soon as we came in, we started talking about all these traitors. Why? Because we come from the school of thought of Moors who already knew that there was a sellout and were doing their own thing. Supreme honors to Noble Drew Ali. Supreme honors to the Moor Science Temple and everything that comes with it. But people sold that out. Supreme honors to the Nuwapian nation of Moors. But they sold out Dr. York L. They sold him out. Because he was talking Moorish. And they had land with pyramids and all that. But they got fezzes on, saying that they're Moors. Everyone knows that we're Moors. Everyone knows that our nationality is Moors. And we're not Negro, Black, colored, Jamaican, Tobagonian, Trinidadian, Bayesian, Guyanese. We're not any of that. You got dark skin, you're a Moor. That's what it is, period. You don't want to ride with that? Then keep getting all this BS treatment that you've been getting. Because you're going to keep getting the BS treatment. That's natural because you're colonized. You can't escape that. You're going to get racism. Just how much prejudice are you going to get? Are you going to get the trickle of racism, or are you going to get the tsunami? Which one you want? I'll take the trickle. I'll take a trickle of racism versus a tsunami of racism any day. So we came from the generation of Moors who realized that the people who claimed to honor Noble Drew Ali didn't honor him. So we're going to either do our own thing, still pushing Noble Drew Ali up front because he's the man under our own thing, or we're going to be part of it and do our own thing in his thing, which is what we're doing, which is why we say that we're Moor Science Temple of America. And to date, there's no one in Grand Major Temple, Grand Major whatever, that could denounce and make us not exist or anything like that. Because they already know they don't got jurisdiction on Canaanland because they didn't establish anything here. So how do you have jurisdiction? Oh, but after we're here, now all these traders who were with us and didn't want to go with what with the standard that we were setting. They wanted to pass the fez around and collect finance from Moors in order for Moors to get somewhere. They left us and they found Moorish science temples, Grand Major Temple, Baltimore, Moorish consular court, whatever. And then they're going to try to set up their thing here and establish their indigenous Aboriginal North American nation. People could go join them and pay $5 grand and $7 grand or whatever. And then people are going to look at them as legitimate because somebody from United States recognizes them as Moors, so they're the legit ones. And no one recognizes Canaanland Moors with Cujo because he doesn't have a paper from the Supreme Grand whoever saying that he's whatever. And no one's going to question where were these people in 2008 when we established Moorish out here? Where were all these people? Right? Where were all these people? And like we tell everybody else, Fioria, push the button. Don't talk BS in the chat. Push the damn button. Calling for somebody's demise of Rothschild bankers. Push the button. Stop talking BS. And stop talking about hell on earth, because the only reason you're talking about that is because of Mobb Deep, and this is not some Mobb Deep song right now. This is Canaanland Moors YouTube page. So FOH with your hell on earth and Rothschild's bankers. We give a hell about some Rothschild bankers. What do you care about them for? What are they? Who are they? Who's Rothschild to the Moors? Rothschild nobody. It's a colonizer. How are we supporting Rothschilds when we got a nationality that says we're not Negro, black, or colored? We're not Muslim. Stop the BS. Get the hell out of here. Push the button or shut the hell up, because we don't block people over here. So you're not going to escape that way. You're going to have to commit suicide on this side. You're going to have to leave. We're not kicking you off. You leave. FOH. Rothschild's plan. What Rothschild's plan? What about Noble Drew Ali's plan? Well, theory of philosophy naturalis. That's not a nationality. What nationality is that? Where'd that come from? That sounds like some Frederick Blumenbach stuff that you're talking about. Naturalis. What is a naturalis? That's not no nationality. Find me somebody else on the planet can't call that. I guarantee you I could find somebody on the planet called L, find somebody called B, I could find somebody called D, I could find somebody called Al, and I'm definitely going to find people called Ali. Most definitely, I'll find people called Ali. Without a shadow of a doubt, when I do my research, I'm going to find some people called that. I'm definitely not going to find anybody called themselves naturalis other than you. And then whoever else was on here talking crazy. As if. The hell out of here. What demons? Demons are the lower self. Stop the dumb stuff. We're not dumb Muslims over here. We're not the dumb black guys that you people are used to. We're not them over here. A demon is a lower self. A demon is not real. Rothschilds is a last name. That has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about right now. Rothschild's a last name of some Europeans. That's like me coming up and saying, the Smiths own you. Yeah, there's somebody out there named Smith. Goddamn right they're owned by the Smiths. I'm not Rothschild. How am I owned by Rothschild? Hell are you talking about? This is the Moroccan Empire. I don't know where you're at, but I'm in Morocco. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what kind of map you got. I'm in Morocco, right? I don't know which Moors you people are used to, but we're not them. We're definitely not them. Talking crazy. If you're talking against Canaan, you're talking against Palestine. And if you're talking against Palestine, you're on the side of the enemy. You're on the side of the enemy. Now, like we tell everybody that wants to play little Bible games, that wants to start bringing up Bible stuff, Bible names, Bible scriptures, and all that stuff. Always remember, this is what the preachers and all these people who are pushing religious stuff on you are not going to tell you. Religion is esoteric and exoteric. Religion is spiritual and physical. And quoting Matthew 12, verse 6 that's not spiritual. That's just reading a book. That's anybody could do that. Right? Metaphysical meaning of Canaan. Because Canaan, which is Bible stuff, religious word, right? This is what they say, right? It's a religious word. Okay. So it's esoteric and it's exoteric. So let's look at the esoteric meaning so we can have a broader perspective of what Canaan is. So we don't just think that this is just some Bible stuff, people just throwing stuff out there. And then if we look at it from the historical perspective, remember that Canaan is Palestine. And Palestine got taken over by some colonists called Israel. And right now, Palestinians are fighting for their ancestral land, which is Canaan. And they're willing to risk their life for theirs. What are you willing to do for yours? Because I see you niggers like to die for drugs. You like to die for shoes. You like to die for girls. You like to die for all types of BS. But you're not going to die for your nation. And you want to know why no one respects our people? Because we're traitors to ourselves. Nobody even have to do anything. You just sell yourself out. So much of a traitor our people are. They're such a traitor that they're going to tell you, oh yeah, the Moorish say Canaan. Oh, that's incestuous and stuff like that, because that's the family of people who touched each other's daughters and all this. What the hell are you talking about? So let's just see this metaphysical meaning of Canaan, so we can just have just a broader perspective opposed to this minuscule ant bee perspective. These hive mind don't know anything else, just the dumb stuff that they know, and they think they know something, but they know anything else. Let's get a broader perspective. Maybe we could figure some stuff out instead of looking at things from these little linear perspectives that go nowhere. It's linear. Where the hell is it going? It's going nowhere. If there's no light at the end of the tunnel, you probably don't want to go that way. If you're at the dam, you probably want to go the other direction. Metaphysical meaning of Canaan. Canaan means lowland. That is the body consciousness. No, so Canaan is the body consciousness. The redeemed body is the promised land. Isn't that what they call Canaan? Promised land? Israel, promised land? So if they're playing promised lands and all that stuff, that would mean that it's metaphysical, because promised land is in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, in line with Canaan, which is really the body consciousness redeemed. Now, this is all relative to everything that we're talking about. The redeemed body is the promised land. And when man rediscovers his lost domain, all the promises of the scriptures will be fulfilled. What's man's lost domain? Didn't somebody tell us about something lost? Who else told us that? Hold on a second. Somebody told us something about that. I can't remember where this thing that I heard. Where is this thing? Let me see. Somebody said, let every living thing stand still and hear. Man is the Lord of all the plane of manifest, or protoplast of mineral, of plant, of beast. But he given up his birthrights just to gratify his lower self. But man will regain his lost estate, his heritage. But he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. Then Metaphysical Bible Dictionary says Canaan is the redeemed body, the promised land, and when man rediscovers his lost domain, all the promises of the scriptures will be fulfilled. But man will regain his lost estate, his heritage, but he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. Interesting. It is not a dream that man is to possess an immortal body. It is a solid fact. In order to redeem the body, man must enter with his spiritual thoughts into this organism and teach it the saving truth. Now, somebody else said something about us knowing the truth, and that he wanted to know the truth and the divine truth. That's how much truth he wanted you to know. Who the hell was that again? Somebody said that. Somebody said, tell you the truth about your nationality and your birthrights. Remember, this is the Canaan talking about. The landmass, people say, and the Canaanites came from there, and the Canaanites are descendants and the offspring of the body consciousness. They've been playing you the whole time. You don't know what you're talking about. You think, no, Joali said, old Canaanite temple, and then you're thinking about Canaanites and the Bible and all that stuff. Your mind's gone already. You're far gone. You're far gone. You're over your head. Over your own head. Imagine that. You're over your own head. We're not going to spend too much time on that, because you can go research that on your own. Without just somebody in the chat talking BS that wouldn't push the button. So shut them the hell up with their own stuff so we could carry on. So I got some emails. From I Am Hip Hop Temple. I Am Hip Hop Temple TV. Respectfully, I am asking again to please stop with the lies and the disrespectful personal attacks on my children and I. It won't lead you to happiness or success. And it's not noble. It comes off as hateful and evil-spirited. Go back to the Quran, Noble Drew Ali's teachings, and pray, get yourself right. Lastly, please be mindful that Allah is watching us, and we will be held accountable for our decisions. Rami. Now, we talked about this yesterday before they shut down the thing. Now, if I know somebody's a Moor, right, there's certain expectations that come with that. So one of those expectations is that when you greet another Moor, you give them some sort of welcome. Right? You might hear some people welcome Assalamu alaikum. You might hear some people welcome Shalom. Some people welcome, what up, nigga? All these different ways. Moors might say peace, might say Assalamu alaikum, might say Islam, but they never just start off talking. Not in an email, not in a text message, not in any type of conversation with Moors. More not even saying none, just Islam, and then another Moor just send back Islam, and then that's it. That's the convo. None of that. None of that. Respectfully, you're asking me to do stuff. And since you're asking, you know that there's two sides, because you wouldn't be asking me to stop doing something if I didn't have a right to do something, especially talk. And then with regard to talking, then he puts in there and an article from Drew Ali from the Moorish literature about tongues. One of the most difficult things in this world to get control of is the human tongue. Kipling never wrote anything more truer than when he wrote that man may hold most any post if he'll only hold his tongue. Before you set your tongue to action, get it under control. A single tongue can do more harm in the world than a battalion of soldiers. A single tongue can do more harm in the world than a battalion of soldiers. So that should let you know that soldiers and guns and arms isn't really that important. If it's really about minding your tongue more. Because to call a Moor a sovereign citizen and domestic terrorist is not minding your tongue. So how is this hypocrite, with his soft voice and gentle hand gestures, put in his little Noble Drew Ali stuff that he likes to do? Always throw Noble Drew Ali's name in there, never speak for himself, even though Drew Ali said use your 5 senses. You never do that. He'll give you a Drew Ali quote. Same thing. Because he called Moors domestic terrorists. And that's causing harm in the world right now. Because if you're going to call us domestic terrorists and not call out the real ones, then the real ones are going to run amok. Which is what they're doing right now. Because of the Moorish authority that some of these people have that they don't even know that they have, because they're always talking crazy. And they're looking at me crazy because I'm saying I don't want anything to do with these people. I don't want to have no relations with traders. I don't need to meet them, talk to them, sit down with them, converse about something. I don't need to do that. They're traders. Yeah, man. My girl. And then when I came home, she was giving him head and all that stuff. But I love her and I want her back. Nigga, shut the hell up, stupid ass. She's a traitor. What you mean you want her back? What you want her back for? To do what? To go do with another guy after that? Well, she could change and no, she'll change the next lifetime. Not changing this one. You're a traitor. Man may hold most any post if he only hold his tongue. What are they saying? Not all the posts are good. Some of the posts are BS. And this is what Kwame Brown's talking about right now. He has his own posts. He doesn't need their posts to hold. So he could say whatever the hell he wants. They can't take no check from him. They can't stop his finance. He got 64 million when he left the NBA. He got 64 million. He's worried about some finance. The issue is, like what he's talking about, if these people got this much finance, why are they a sellout? You can do your own stuff. Like, you don't need them. But, you know, some people are just sellouts. For soldiers can kill but bodies, while the tongue can kill reputations and characters. Right? So reputation and character is more important than the body. Because if there's no reputation or character, the body's useless anyways. Really, it is too bad that we have no laws to curb tongues from lying and scandalizing. So the problem with tongues isn't what's being said. The problem with tongues is when things are being said that are lies and are used to scandalize. That's the only problem with tongues. Other than that, tongues are great. No doubt you all have read the story of Iago, a character in one of Shakespeare's plays, when he powerfully pictured in the character of Iago the terrible consequences following the path of an evil tongue. Iago not only destroyed the reputation and pure character of Desdemona, but he finally, through Othello, killed her body. That's why I say, compel your tongue to speak helpful messages, or else keep it still. Make it a rule of your life to use your tongue for high purposes only. Resolve to speak of man or woman of no other way unless you speak of good qualities of that man or woman. No one ever gained happiness out of injuring the feelings or character of someone else. No one ever failed to get happiness by speaking well of other people. So learn as if you were to live forever. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Remember, the problem with tongue is when it's used for lying and scandalizing. So when it tells you, speak good qualities of that man or woman, they're not talking about traitors. They're talking about people with good qualities. No one ever gained happiness out of injuring the feelings or characters of someone else. The feelings or characters of someone else are already established. It's lying about the feelings and the character. So when he sends me his little email and I tell him F him and F his family, and I don't give a F about him or them, stop emailing, because he's a traitor. And his own family sat there and let him be a traitor. They didn't say anything. It was cool for him to go out there and make a video calling other Moors domestic terrorists. But what do we expect? You know what I mean? What do we expect? So then he sends, hate is a cruel word. If man hates you, regard it not. And you can turn the hate of men to love and mercy and goodwill. Mercy is as large as all the heavens. And there is good enough for all. With good destroy the bad. With generous deeds make avarice ashamed. With truth make straight the crooked lines that errors draw. For error is but truth distorted, gone astray. At that point, I was like, okay, well, guess he doesn't get it. He just doesn't get it. So then, yesterday, get another email. I couldn't get another email. Thought I said F you and stuff. Like what is going on here? But again, you know, because it's online and, you know, it's not in their face, they don't get the message. So he comes again. Please stop falsely accusing me of being a traitor, Cujo. Once again, no L, no hello, no hi, how you doing, no peace, no Islam, nothing. You're just diving right in, right? You haven't sent in the business and finance reports every month as Noble Drew Ali required all Grand Sheiks to do. Guaranteed, I have not. And for the record, once again, why no business and finance reports are being sent to any grand major temple or any grand body of Moorish science temple or whatever, because they didn't give us authority. They didn't give us authority. What are we sending our personal information to these criminals for? We know there are criminals over there. Maybe not everybody, but we know there's criminals over there. We know there's dirty Moors over there. And they have their job to do. And we have nothing to do with them. Why you think, since if Grand Major Temple is the authority like that, how come they haven't shut down our temple yet? How come they haven't come out and made videos like how they made videos talking about people are sovereign citizens and Moors aren't sovereign? How come they never said, oh yeah, and those Canaanland Moors, they're not really a Moorish science temple and all that? They don't even have a charter and Cujo's not a Grand Sheik and all that. What you mean? They got put on notice when we went to Mecca. They got put on notice because everybody who was in the Grand Major Temple that brought us in is now over there in the Grand Major Temple. That's the fraud. Not everybody, but almost everybody. We weren't born yesterday. And it's been on the record. It's been on the record. So no, we have not sent in any business and any finance reports every month to any body. What we do out here is we have town hall meetings, we got an email list, and we keep the members of our temple updated with what's going on, what we're doing, because if we were making millions, we'd be driving Benzes and stuff out there. I take the bus to the temple. You're not stealing no finance from Moors to have fur coats and all this. We're taking people's finance to keep the doors open. Because that's the only thing Drew Ali asked Moors to do. Keep the doors open. I don't care what else you do. At least keep the doors open for the temple so people who are finding out about this could have somewhere to go. At least do that. Not gonna do that. You're gonna bitch and complain about Kudro's didn't send in his reports as if I'm supposed to send in reports to somebody. I have no obligation to any Moors south of Canaanland. I have no obligations to them. I'm doing a favor to Moors. I'm doing a favor by taking Moors' time who aren't near Canaanland. Because as Grand Sheikh, Divine Minister, Grand Governor for Canaanland, that's who I'm responsible to. But we already know that there's traitors everywhere. And these people have no Grand Sheikhs that they could trust. They have no Grand Sheikhs that they hold highly. And, you know, few Moors might have some. Majority of Moors, they probably got 4 Grand Sheikhs that they could say are legit. Everybody else is a traitor. Right? You haven't attended the conventions to report on the progress of your temple, as Noble Drew Ali required all Grand Sheikhs to do. Ever since we started the temple in 2010, we've had, right? Had, you know, past tense. We've had Noble Drew Ali days out here. Every year for the past 11 years, Moors come from all over to that. That's a convention for us. Why? Because we're not going to these traders' convention. Why are we going to their convention for? We have no obligation to them. We're not members of them. We don't have any cards that say we're members of them. We don't acknowledge, recognize, associate, or have any contact with any of these Grand Major Temple whoever's. So why we got to attend their convention for? For what? There's a bunch of traders. Why are we going there? Secondly, I told these Moors in Grand Major Temple, if you want me to come to convention, send the plane ticket. No ticket, no convention. Because I'm looking at it like Canaanland Moorish Science Temple of America is prophecy of Noble Drew Ali. You should be giving this temple more honors than half these people out here, because this is prophecy manifested. There was no temples out here before us. Now there's temple here. Now the Moorish information is out here in the eyes of the people, not just doing some lectures. People are meeting Moors on the street, and Moors are telling them where the temple is, and they're coming to the temple. People are seeing Moors in their fezzes and turbans and saying, hey, you're a Moor? I didn't know there was Moors here. I just started finding out this information or whatever like that. And what do they do? They're not calling the Grand Sheikh. Hey, Grand Sheikh, I'm just with Frank, and Frank wants to come by the temple. Do I have permission from you to give him a card for him to come to the temple? Because, you know, this is the Grand Sheikh stuff, and we don't. Please, stop this dumb stuff. We know what this is. Like we said, we came up with the Moors who they had fleets of cars, and everybody had Moorish tags. Just let that resonate in your mind. The Moors that we came up under had fleets. If they're going somewhere, 3-4 cars are going, and everybody has Moorish tags. All they did was be at the temple. They didn't do anything else. Every day, from Sunday to Saturday, every day there was something happening at the temple every day. Whether it was members things or whether it was outside of people of membership. But every day there was something happening at the temple. And it wasn't a thing, the Grand Sheik is the one who's whatever. No, everybody had their day. Secretary, they had their day. Where the secretary and all the bodies, and they have their day, that they go to the temple, and the temple's theirs for the day. Do whatever they got to do. Muftis, they have their day. Where the muftis go to the temple, and they do their mufti stuff. Whatever it is that is, that has nothing to do with anybody else but the muftis. The treasurer has their day. They go, treasurer and all the assistant treasurers and whatever, they all go there and they have their meeting. They have their day. The administrative body, they have their day when all the grand whatevers are at the temple, and anybody can come in and talk to any one of them about anything, and that's just what it is on that day. How come all the other temples weren't doing that? How come you're talking to Moors all over the country and they don't have temples where they're at? You telling me about attend conventions with these traders. Why would I go to a convention with traders? For what? What is going to be the purpose of that? You even co-sign and promote a guy who has created his own splinter group, and he accepts being called the prophet. Right? We know that's a lie. Because people tell me that, man, you know, you're like the prophet or whatever. That's what people do. People just do that. That wasn't Jamal's claiming that he's the prophet Noble Drew Ali or whatever. Stop the dumb stuff. And this is why. These are traitorous actions. These are traitorous actions that this individual is engaging in. Because people tell me that I'm Prophet Noble Drew Ali. They tell me that. And I hold it because that's honorable stuff. Like, shit, you think like I'm the prophet or whatever? Shit, I'll hold that. I'll go around there, change all the cards and change all the stuff. They say Prophet Noble Drew Ali because somebody said I'm like the prophet to them. Stop it. We're not trying to be Noble Drew Ali in 2021. But this is what you have to deal with. Right? This is what you have to deal with. This is what the environment, you know, Farrakhan talked about it, the environment where, you know, El Hajj got murdered and stuff like that. He created the environment. Okay. The Moors' passivity created the environment that we're in right now. When they have the literature that says all Moors are active, and then as soon as, it's just like when we were first coming to this info, and I never remember this, and I never forget this, and the reason it stuck is because it hit me later, right? So on MySpace, and I sent a Moor a message because I was trying to get Quran, didn't know where to get this thing, Holy Quran or whatever. So send this Moor a message. You know, I'm new to this information or whatever. I'm trying to find Noble Drew Ali's literature. How could I get a Quran 101? You know, whatever. This is before connecting with the Moors in Chicago. And, you know, he gave me some information or whatever like that. And then he said that he's going to have to ask the Grand Sheik. You know, so my mindset went to, oh, so this information is just limited to this building, this institution called Moor Science Temple. This is not something that anybody could get. You know what I mean? This is like some closed door stuff. I'm like, okay, you know, because we're already studying from Hiram Key and whatever like that in masonry and all this. So we're like, okay, you know, this is probably, you know, like something, you know, secret order type stuff. So dude comes back and says that the Grand Sheik told him that they didn't have any printed. They didn't have any Qurans printed. So they couldn't fulfill the request or something like that. The print, something with the print shop or something with the print shop, right? Why I couldn't get the Quran or whatever. So later now, that hit me because somebody had came to the temple and they had said, well, I tried to get it from a temple and they said that they can't give it or whatever like that because that's theirs, and that's what made me realize that, oh, they're playing this thing. And then Pleasant Bay had it in his book about how they're playing the club game with the Moorish Science Temple, right? And then that going further into other stuff, like when we found out about Nakim Bey and Clock of Destiny, that we're trying to line ourselves with CM Bey because we recognize that he was a student of Noble Drew Ali. We go to connect with Clock of Destiny, they're telling us about some introductory thing where you got to wear a red tie for a month and all this before you could be brought in and all this. Like, what do you mean wear a red tie for what's the red tie have to do with Clock of Destiny 1 and 2 and all that stuff? Like, I don't get what you're saying. Well, it's just the initiation for I word. Oh, it's all right. We'll just get his books and study them ourselves. Right. According to the prophet's words, people who fail to obey the laws after being the head of the temple are considered traitors. Now, there's no reference point for where he got that from, but he's going to tell you about Matthew 7 verse 3 is a powerful verse. I better go check that verse. But he's not going to say, according to the prophet's words, people who fail to obey the laws after being head of the temple are considered traitors. Where's that at? You've been claiming to be a grand sheikh and have been violating our laws and principles. Perhaps instead of calling everyone else a traitor, look in a mirror. And then the Matthew 7 is having to do with the splinter in the eye, and then if you have a plank in your eye, how are you looking at the guy with the splinter and saying he has something in his eye, right? As if I have a plank or a splinter or whatever in my eye, because I wasn't claiming to be Grand Sheikh. I wasn't claiming that. I got elected that, and I didn't even want it. But you had to be a Grand Sheikh in order to have a temple. Because when they showed me the list of the responsibilities, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'm doing this right now with black guys. Because we were the head of stuff as black guys. We were head of Marcus Garvey Center. We were head of Caribbean Resource Center. We were head of Redemption Services. We were head of things. So we already knew what was up when you talk about leadership and all that stuff. We already know what was up. We had enough martyrs of our past to know being a leader is not where it's at. But, you know, sometimes you just have to suck it up. Take that punch in the face. You know, and hopefully you learn from it. And, you know, good thing I took it, because I learned a lot from being Grand Sheikh. Learned a lot about people, learned a lot about, you know, a lot, right? And I have been violating our laws and principles, right? This is what my co-author for 77 Amazing Facts is telling me. My co-author. How come you never brought this stuff up when we were co-authors? What didn't you know back then that you know now that your switch is 180? This is co-author talking. So he sends that, then he sends the definition of traitor: one who betrays another's trust or is false to an obligation or duty. Then he has another quote in there: when man fails after being placed head of the temple by the prophet of obeying our divine laws and constitutions, He is a traitor and an enemy of the divine creed and unloyal to the national government, USA, to which the movement is to make men and women better citizens from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So then my response to him was, F you, Rami. No, because I'm not hearing none of your BS. But for the sake of teaching some people how deep this stuff goes with people who are traitors, people who are sellouts, people who are passive and don't want to just admit that they're passive more and they're not really built for this, and they should go sit in a corner somewhere. No, they want to try and make videos, and then they're causing confusion. So they're calling people domestic terrorists. And then having people not supporting Moors who they should be supporting because some clown said that they're domestic terrorists. And then you want to know how come the Moors, nothing could happen for the Moors. Because of your own. Putting you right back into slavery, just like Noble Drew Ali told you that your own's going to do to you. So then he came back again. Drew Ali said not to use profanity if you are head of a temple. You have continued to disrespect the station or title known as Grand Sheikh through your words and deeds. Are you going to say F Noble Drew Ali now? You should really stop before it's too late. It's severe consequences from Allah for doing what you are doing, you know. Rami. These are the emails I'm getting from the traitor. Just because he doesn't want to admit that he's a traitor. But we're doing some research. Things present themselves to you. Doing some research, things present themselves to you. And I was doing some research on the hip-hop police. I was doing some research on the hip-hop police, and a video came up. A video came up in the thing that we'll take a look at right now. Because it's good when it works like this. It's good when it works like this.
Hold on. How you know it's a new world and it's a new day coming? We never see all us together at once. It's a new day. As we proceed together. Hey, yo, let's go, TJ, let's go. Peace. What's happening? I'm Rami, Salaam, and I thank you for joining us. Today's topic, the International Asiatic Moorish Hip Hop Temple, IAMHH, that's what it stands for if you didn't know. I want to speak about my reasoning and my thought process and create. I don't even like to say I created it, but what I helped to create or establish with this hip hop temple. I know that there's some Moors, Moorish Americans, Moorish American Muslims, Moorish nationals, etc. People that's been in the temple for years and years that may have a problem or may question, the officialness of the temple, or this temple isn't valid because the prophet didn't bring hip hop, and whatever. So I kind of want to address that. And to just inform you of the vision that went into creating this temple. But before I get to that, I wanted to read just a couple things from the Holy Quran, just so we the Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, also known as the Moorish Science Temple of America, just so that we can be on the same kind of wavelength and the same kind of level ground footwork or foundation before I build onto this. So we're going to go to the last chapter, chapter 48, the end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies. And we are going to read line number 4. The Moorish Holy Temple of Science is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc., that the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days, for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So just to recap, any subordinate temple that wants a charter to open up a temple, you need the charter to be considered official. The prophet has them to issue to every state, not the grand governor, not Grand Sheikh such and such and Grand Sheikh that and the third, and whatever other official title people are trying to give themselves. The prophet has them to issue. And also in the chapter before that, before I go there, I also want to highlight that the temples are so that the world may hear and know the truth. Not just the people in the United States or North America, that the world may hear and know the truth. Understand that part. Hear and know the truth. Then we're going to go to the chapter before that, which is chapter 47. Yeah, chapter 47. And we're going to read lines 12 through 14. And it says, "These holy and divine laws are from the prophet, Noble Drew Ali." So if you're confused about who the prophet is, Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Uniting of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science of North America. These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, that they will learn to open their meetings and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Very important here. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. Let me read that last part one more time. Every subordinate temple, every means all of them, of the Grand Major Temple is to form, so here's one condition. You have to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. That's one. And another stipulation, create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet in the Grand Temple. So, let me speak about even before I got to the hip-hop temple. When I first learned about this information, I looked up and emailed every Moorish science temple, Moorish holy temple, Moorish, any sort of Moorish temple that I could find on the internet. Started from the East Coast all the way to California, was trying to find people, especially here in North America. I wasn't getting very much. I wasn't getting much assistance. I say it politely.
Right? That's from the same people who he's telling you now, go to them about some Supreme Grand Council. Isn't that hypocrisy? Isn't that obviously hypocrisy? Use your common sense. He's telling you right now, go to some Moors over there and go ask them about something. But he's telling you back then, oh, I went to those guys already and they don't even return calls. So why is he sending you there? If he knows that's going to be the response. Why is he sending you to the people who he knows already? Because we all know this, that you can get no callbacks from them like that. So why is he sending you there? Isn't that hypocrisy? Is it becoming apparent, or you still don't get it? You still don't get that he's a traitor?
Which was unfortunate. But before this, I used to ask myself, when are we going to have a leader? This is before I knew about Noble Drew Ali. When are we going to have a leader like Malcolm X and, Martin? Who's our leader today? When are we going to find somebody? And then I came to a point where I realized you keep looking around and trying to avoid responsibility. You need to step up and try to lead. You see what's going on, so do something about it. And so I did. I started learning about, and this was like Occupy Wall Street and, just...
So hold on. So isn't this the same thing that Kudro's doing right now? Realize that some people over there are running a fraud, so we got to do our own thing. Keep doing it with the principles in mind. Do it with humanity in mind. Doing it with honor for mother in mind. Doing it with honor for Noble Drew Ali and respect for what he brought in line, and everything should be all right. Once you keep on those, you should be all right. You're not going to be swayed off too much if you stick to that. And we haven't been swayed off much because we went from 2 people to now there's hundreds of people who know about this info because of our temple, our specific temple only. We're not even talking about anybody else's and our connection to whoever. We're talking about Canaanland Moors that they can call the number, or they could send an email, or they could call Kudro on the phone. Right? That went from no calls to phone doesn't stop ringing. How's he talking crazy now then that we're bad for taking a leadership position like he's telling you that you should do? Don't just sit around and do nothing because there's no leaders or because quote unquote there's traitors. Don't just do nothing. Do something. What did he do? He started the International Asiatic Hip Hop Temple because Moorish Science Temple was full of BS. I'm paraphrasing. So he did his own thing. He took a leadership position. He took a leadership position. So how is he talking crazy now about people that's been had leadership position when he took his up? And then we're still in that position. How's he talking against it now? That's actions of treason, because you're proving right here that you already know what's up. You're proving right here that you know what's up.
Police at that time, quote unquote, police brutality and, you know, drugs and what was going on in our community when I was just thinking I was, quote unquote, black. Moving forward to this, when I couldn't find any temples and I'm desperate, I'm like, I'm really trying to go. The only person that, you know, I really was able to connect with was the brother Cujo Awa El up in Canaanland. Shout out to my brother. And I emailed him, got right back to me. I was like, okay, finally somebody is helping me. And
oh, look at that. Oh, so hold on a second. So if he so if okay, so not only does he know, right? Not only does he know that there's more Science Temple of America that they're not doing their job. So he's going to start up his own thing. Same thing he's telling Jamal he shouldn't be doing his own thing. We shouldn't be doing our own thing. Anybody else who's being honorable with this and doing their own thing, he's talking crazy about them. When he did that with the International Asiatic Hip Hop Temple for the same damn reason, are you telling me this is not treason? And like we said, not only that, the only Moor who reached out to him, guess who it was? Of all the grand sheiks that he called, all these grand sheiks all over the place that he tried to contact, nobody got back to him. Who got back to him? Who got back to him? Who got back to him? We'll bring that one up again so everybody could hear for themselves. It's not Cujo talking.
I realized you keep looking around and trying to avoid. California was trying to find people, especially here in North America.
Yeah, Rami, listen to yourself, huh? Make sure you listen to yourself right now. Take yourself in. Stop right now. Just stop. Close your eyes. Just stop, close your eyes, and take yourself in. You take yourself in.
I wasn't getting very much. I wasn't getting much assistance. I say it politely, which was unfortunate. But before this, I used to ask myself, you know, when are we going to have a leader? This is before I knew about Noble Drew Ali. When are we going to have a leader like Malcolm X and, you know, Martin? Who's our leader today? You know, when are we going to find somebody? And then I came to a point where I realized you keep looking around and trying to avoid responsibility. You need to step up and try to lead. You know, you see what's going on, so do something about it. And so I did. I started learning about, and this was like Occupy Wall Street and, you know, just police at that time, quote unquote, police brutality and, you know, drugs and what was going on in our community when I was just thinking I was, quote unquote, black. Moving forward to this, when I couldn't find any temples and I'm desperate, I'm like, I'm really trying to go. The only person that, you know, I really was able to connect with was the brother Cujo Awa El up in Canaanland. Shout out to my brother. And I emailed him, got right back to me. I was like, okay, finally somebody is helping me. And I asked him, before I had the idea for the temple, I just asked him, you know, how do I know when I'm ready to start making videos? And he was like, well, when you know something, turn on your camera, make a video, put it out. And I'm like, well, who do I have to check? Do I have to like check in with somebody, or like, do I get a degree? When do I get certified? It's like it's our information. You know what I mean? It's our history, our culture. So just be righteous, you know what I'm saying, and put the information out. It's like, all right. So I started, and if you go to the channel, the hip hop channel, with it, IAMHH Temple on YouTube. If you go to the first video, all I did was read a section out of the teachings of Buddha. It's like, well, I'm not an expert on anything, but I can at least read this, this spiritual reading because I know it helps me, so I'll share it. And it kept building from there. Moving a little bit forward to the temple, when I was looking around, I couldn't find anything. I said, you know what? Do it yourself. So then I prayed on it, asked for guidance. I kept going back to all the teachings that Noble Drew Ali said, and kept, searching for, how do you start a temple? And, I kept reading those lines that I just read to you over and over. Create your own laws and customs. And it has to be a covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, right? Put the prophet out front. Don't try to be this whole new movement. I'm like, well, who do I have to check? Do I have to check in with somebody, or with the laws of the Holy Prophet in the Grand Temple? But before this, I used to ask myself, when are we going to have a leader? This is before I knew about Noble Drew Ali. When are we going to have a leader like Malcolm X and, Martin? Who's our leader today? When are we going to find somebody? And then I came to a point where I realized you keep looking around and trying to avoid responsibility. You need to step up and try to lead. You see what's going on, so do something about it. And so I did. I started learning about, this was like Occupy Wall Street and, just police at that time, quote unquote, police brutality and, drugs and what was going on in our community when I was just thinking I was, quote unquote, black. Moving forward to this, when I couldn't find any temples and I'm desperate, I'm like, I'm really trying to go. The only person that, I really was able to connect with was the brother, Cujo Awa El up in Canaanland. Shout out to my brother. And I emailed him, got right back to me. I was like, okay, finally, somebody is helping me. And I asked him, before I had the idea for the temple, I just asked him, how do I know when I'm ready to start making videos? And he was like, well, when you know something, turn on your camera, make a video, put it out. And I'm like, well, who do I have to check? Do I have to check in with somebody, or do I get a degree? When do I get certified? It's like, it's our information. You know what I mean? It's our history, our culture. So just be righteous, you know what I'm saying? And put the information out. It's like, all right. So I started. And if you go to the channel, the hip hop channel, with it, IAMHH Temple on YouTube, if you go to the first video, all I did was read a section out of the teachings of Buddha. It's like, well, I'm not an expert on anything, but I can at least read this, this spiritual reading because I know it helps me, so I'll share it. And it kept building from there. Moving a little bit forward to the temple, when I was looking around, I couldn't find anything. I said, you know what? Do it yourself. So then I prayed on it, asked for guidance. I kept going back to all the teachings that Noble Drew Ali said, and kept, searching for, how do you start a temple? And, I kept reading those lines that I just read to you over and over. Create your own laws and customs. And it has to be a covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, right? Put the prophet out front. Don't try to be this whole new movement. You're a subordinate temple. Matter of fact, let's read subordinate. Try to read it in the law dictionary.
Peace more.
Peace.
Peace. What's good?
Family, why is this fool in the chat talking fuckery?
No, that's why. Hold on. Let me show you why.
Yo.
Let me show you why. Hold on. Watch. This is funny.
Man literally says something about reflection. I'm gonna hold on for you. Let me
No, go ahead. Yeah, you get your thought out. I'm just looking for something, but you get your thought out.
No, if he's still in there, I need him to come in here and to take accountability for what he's literally telling people that Moors are domestic terrorists for defending themselves.
No, he's not coming
He
in
needs
there.
to have that conversation instead of putting everything on about talking about Allah is watching. We already know Allah is watching, you damn crackhead.
No, listen.
His payback from Allah. So Rami can quote all the Prophet Noble through Ali quotes he wants. He can come in our chat while there is a live YouTube video happening and quote all the sayings from Noble through Ali. Just like a Christian church pastor, picking and choosing what quotes he can use to pacify his congregation, hoping that they won't see through his hypocrisy and BS.
You can't make this up.
Can't make this shit up.
You can't make this up. You can't make this up.
Yo, he's showing his ass right now. Showing his ass completely.
You can't make this stuff up. One more time.
Not from me, not from any more, not from any human being. The Creator.
Rami will get his payback from Allah. So Rami can quote all the Prophet Noble through Ali quotes he wants. He can come in our chat while there is a live YouTube video happening and quote all the sayings from Noble through Ali. Just like a Christian church pastor, picking and choosing what quotes he can use to pacify his congregation, hoping that they won't see through his hypocrisy and BS. Hey Rami, here is a Bible quote for you. Proverbs 11, verse 9. A hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor, but through knowledge the just shall be delivered. Nothing will change the fact that what Rami did is worse than any dirty Moor selling packages, worse than any so-called black people making videos attacking Moors, etc. Rami created an environment for a fellow Moor and his family to be fatally harmed. And if anything happens to rise of the Moors, that will be on Rami's soul, because Rami knows exactly what he is doing.
Remember, Allah is watching, Rami.
You know what you're doing.
You know what you're doing, Rami. Let yourself tell you. Maybe if yourself tells you, you'll get it. Maybe if yourself tells you, you'll get it. Until yourself tells you, you're probably not gonna get it. Probably not. Because it's not even fair. It's not even fair. Just do like Drew Ali said, turn in the turban and fez and go back to the state where the Prophet found you, because this is not your stuff. Or go detox or something and bring back the real Rami. Bring back the real Rami. Let's get back to the real Rami.
Let's see if it's in here for us. Subordinate. Here we go. Subordinate. Placed in a lower order, class, or rank, occupying a lower position in a regular descending series. Inferior in order, nature, dignity, power, importance, or the like. Belonging to an inferior order in classification and having a lower position in a recognized scale. Secondary, minor. I'm like, and this is Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. So when I read that, no problem. I got no problem taking a back seat to Noble Drew Ali. My man laid it out 100 years ago. I mean, he got the game. I'm following that dude. I'm following Noble Drew Ali. I don't know what the rest of the people is doing. I'm not trying to be in this for, accolades and me, and this is my thing. I want to do my best to serve our nation, serve our people. I'll be subordinate. And that's why, actually, if you notice, I don't really even push the temple like that. And people started to ask me as I started to pick up, I guess people viewing these videos or just making posts on Facebook or whatever. People would ask me, how do I sign? Like, how do I join the temple? When does the temple meet? And I had to explain to them, and I explain right now that when I first created it, it was just me. I didn't have any supporters. I didn't have my friends and family. Ain't nobody want to join this quote unquote Moorish hip hop temple. So it's just me. So it's like, well, I can't really create any laws for us to follow because it's just me, and I didn't want it to be about me. So what I said was, I'll follow the footsteps of Noble Drew Ali. I'm going to create a temple that is for all people in all nations and all lands, so that all of the people can hear and know the truth that is formed under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And that's exactly what I did. On the site, I had the Quran questions for Moorish Americans, the one-on-ones. I had the Divine Constitution. I have the link for the Quran to read. All of these things you can read online. I put up a page with.
No. He just said the same thing that Rise of the Moors did. There's BS going on. We're going to start our own organization because we're not dealing with this BS with these people who are claiming that they're Moors and they're not even returning a phone call. The hell are we waiting on them for? Which is the whole point, which is the whole mindset, which is the whole perspective as to, well, why is he talking about this Supreme Grand Council thing like this? Why is he promoting so much this fraudulent position? And the only thing that it could be is that for whatever reason, he's not in the mindset or the physical space or whatever to do what he was doing, and he doesn't want to just throw in the towel. Maybe just throw in the towel because it ain't like you had no 800 million members of something that were joining you or whatever. So when, like we were talking about yesterday, some more receipts, right? March 2014, he had the Morning Star newspaper. And even if it wasn't a newspaper, it might have been, some handouts. But he had publication under the Moorish Star. Why? Because he found out about the Moorish Guide and there was no Moorish Guide. Because it was traders who were running the Moorish movement. And they buried the Moorish Guide so the Moors can't put their whatever they got to put in the newspaper, which Drew Ali said is our greatest weapon. Right? He's repping for the people who are pretending this is a church, right? They're playing church games because the building says Moorish Science Temple of America, right? The building says Moorish Science Temple of America, but the paperwork says some church. Just like the paperwork says a church, but the sign says Res Republica or House of Reawakening Minds or something like that. Isn't that odd? Why would it be registered as a church still if it's for Moors and all that stuff and all that? This is a Moorish thing. Why is it registered as a church? How come the registration papers say church? If it's a Moorish whatever. Oh, because anytime Noble Drew Ali said when a Moor goes into a church, it becomes a temple. Okay. If you're gonna go with that, then yeah, all right, do your thing. Do your thing. Do your thing. But the point of the matter at the moment is, where's this one? Where's this Rami with the tassel? This is the one that we want. We want the one with the tassel. And we're going to go back again. We're just going to, if anybody has anything. If anybody has anything, you already know. Push the button. Peace more. You have anything to add on before we carry on?
I don't know if he's still in the chat or not, but it was accountability for me. That's really what it was. Because I literally just come inside in the chat talking about you not taking responsibility or answering the email or whatever the case is. And it's like, yo, like there really do need to be some kind of intervention when it comes to him, because something has happened. Something snapped. New wine and old skin scenario is definitely being shown. It's a perfect showcase for what you need to do to make sure you purify yourself before you get into this information. Because for you to sit there and call somebody a domestic terrorist, he literally threaded, like maybe within 5 years, he took every public video that he saw of Jamal, threaded it together, and made it seem as if this man is just plotting to go bomb up some shit. That's not okay. That's not fucking okay. That's not fucking okay. No, you want somebody to take accountability? Reflect on yourself, man. If you're listening to this, reflect on your fucking self, because it's too much going on for this type of fucker to be exploding amongst the Moors right now. And like you said, we want the one with the tassel. I want the one that wrote the book with you, Cujo, because that's one of my favorite books. I remember when I picked up that book from you. I picked up that book from you. Like,
that's what we're saying.
This shit is fucking sickening, yo. Yo, I have to yield right now. I'm sorry. Give me a minute.
Yeah, no worries. Do your thing. It's all good. We got stuff to play. It's all good. If you have anything, just push the button. We'll just pull this one up again.
Moorish temple that I could find on the internet. Started from the East Coast all the way to California, was trying to find people, especially here in North America. I wasn't getting very much. I wasn't getting much assistance. I say it politely, which was unfortunate. But before this, I used to ask myself, when are we going to have a leader? This is before I knew about Noble Drew Ali. When are we going to have a leader like Malcolm X and, Martin? Who's our leader today? When are we going to find somebody? And then I came to a point where I realized, you keep looking around and trying to avoid responsibility. You need to step up and try to lead. You see what's going on, so do something about it. And so I did. I started learning about, this was like Occupy Wall Street and, just police at that time, quote unquote, police brutality and, drugs and what was going on in our community when I was just thinking I was, quote unquote, black. Moving forward to this, when I couldn't find any temples and I'm desperate, I'm like, I'm really trying to go. The only person that, I really was able to connect with was the brother Cujo L up in Canaanland. Shout out to my brother. And I emailed him, got right back to me. I was like, okay, finally somebody is helping me. And I asked him, before I had the idea for the temple, I just asked him, how do I know when I'm ready to start making videos? And he was like, well, when you know something, turn on your camera, make a video, put it out. And I'm like, well, who do I have to check? Do I have to check in with somebody, or do I get a degree? When do I get certified? It's like, it's our information. You know what I mean? It's our history, our culture. So just be righteous, you know what I'm saying? And put the information out. It's like, well, all right. So I started. And if you go to the channel, the hip hop channel, with it, IAMHH Temple on YouTube, if you go to the first video, all I did was read a section out of the Teachings of Buddha. It's like, well, I'm not an expert on anything, but I can at least read this, this spiritual reading, because I know it helps me, so I'll share it. And it kept building from there. Moving a little bit forward to the temple, when I was looking around, I couldn't find anything. I said, you know what? Do it yourself. So then I prayed on it, asked for guidance. I kept going back to all the teachings that Noble Drew Ali said, and kept, searching for, how do you start a temple? And, I kept reading those lines that I just read to you over and over. Create your own laws and customs. That it has to be a covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Right? Put the prophet out front. Don't try to be this whole new movement. You're a subordinate to. Matter of fact, let's read subordinate. Do I have? Yeah. Try to read it in the law dictionary. See if it's in here for us. Subordinate. Here we go. Subordinate. Placed in a lower order, class, or rank, occupying a lower position in a regular descending series. Inferior in order, nature, dignity, power, importance, or the like. Belonging to an inferior order in classification and having a lower position in a recognized scale. Secondary, minor. I'm like, this is Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. So when I read that, no problem. I got no problem taking a back seat to Noble Drew Ali. My man laid it out 100 years ago. I mean, he got the game. I'm following that dude. I'm following Noble Drew Ali. I don't know what the rest of the people is doing. I'm not trying to be in this for, accolades and me, and this is my thing. I want to do my best to serve our nation, serve our people. I'll be subordinate. And that's why, actually, if you notice, I don't really even push the temple like that. And people started to ask me as I started to pick up, I guess people viewing these videos or just making posts on Facebook or whatever. People would ask me, how do I join the temple? When's the temple meeting? And I had to explain to them, and I explain right now that when I first created it, it was just me. I didn't have any supporters. I didn't have my friends and family. Ain't nobody want to join this quote-unquote Moorish hip-hop temple. So it's just me. So it's like, well, I can't really create any laws for us to follow because it's just me. And I didn't want it to be about me. So what I said was, I'll follow the footsteps of Noble Drew Ali. I'm going to create a temple that is for all people in all nations in all lands, so that all of the people can hear and know the truth, that is formed under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And that's exactly what I did.
And that's what Canaanland Moors did, and that's what Brother Jamal's and the Rise of the Moors did. That's what Moorish Directory did. That's what RV Bay Publications did. That's what Moors Order of the Round Table did. That's what CMB did. That's what Clock of Destiny did. That's what Great Seal National Association of Moorish Affairs did. That's what everybody did. And everybody was supposed to get on that. Start something. Because we need something. And everybody has expertise in something. Everybody has influence in something. But nah, you don't want to do that because you don't want to be Moors. You want Black Wall Street back and all this. And then now you're talking crazy. You're not supposed to make your own thing. The laws of Drew Ali says whatever. You sound just like those Temple Moors. You sound just like those Temple Moors who got caught being passive, and now they're trying to use Noble Drew Ali to try to get out of their judgment. No, it's their judgment. Don't worry about what Noble Drew Ali said. What do you say? Forget what Noble Drew Ali said. What do you say? Let me hear what you said. Because I know when we go to the additional laws, seems like to bring up laws and all that stuff all the time. I want to bring up laws. Act 5, all members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school. Your children going to Sunday school over there? Your children go into some Moorish school, or they go into the colonizer school? And the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire. and let every member exercise his 5 senses, who is able to do so. Because out of your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. What's the guiders of the nation going to do? Do the same stuff that the people before them did. And of course, with the sellout, the guiders of the nation are new Moors with their eyes wide open, seeing and knowing. And we're going to carry out the law. We don't care what any of these sit in the back Moors are talking about. Because they're supposed to be in the back. You shouldn't even be talking right now if you're over a certain age. It's time, it's the young bloods' time now. And then the young bloods are getting older because people have been sitting on the seat for 20, 30 years when they should have been in the back seat. So now we're behind and it's looking like we're not doing our job or whatever like that. Well, no, it's just too much work and everybody's not fit for this work right here of uplifting fallen humanity. Fallen humanity is the 700-pound girl that fell on you and you're under her and you have to uplift. You're just under, arms bent, you know, whatever like that. You can't even set yourself up to push yourself out of it. So you have to find your way, because humanity is falling drastically. And you have to find any way that you can to try to get this word to the people, because everybody knows the hell that they went through to find out about this. Why is it so much hell to find out about my Moorish nationality? But everything else, it ain't nothing. I can find out about that tomorrow. No big deal. Anything. Nanotechnology, find out tomorrow. Is it flat? Is it a dome on it? Is what's outside of Earth's atmosphere and all this? Find out tomorrow. Noble Drew Ali, Moorish nationality? Or you got to swim through the doo-doo to find this. And then after that, you have to swim through the glass and then swim through the fire and then swim through all the stuff before you get to this. And some people don't make it. Some people can't handle it and they fold. Some people realize that there's no hope for humanity and just go underground with what they got. Take their stuff to the grave. All because of humanity being sick. And not recognize that they're sick. You know, play like something's right. Something's right. Everything okay? And then you're talking to a body with no head, because you're the head supposed to be on the body. And you're so detached. And this Moor said, hip hop is there's something about hip hop, and I'm connected to that, and I'm gonna start a hip hop temple, and it's gonna be just me. And I'm gonna live by the principles, and this is gonna be all about Noble Drew Ali. There ain't nothing about no Supreme Grand Council and all that. There ain't nothing about grand bodies, and none of that stuff's coming up right now. All that's coming up is him and his volition. His thought projector, seeing a Moorish hip-hop temple that people can go to learn about Noble Drew Ali and learn about the truth about their nationality and birthrights, because it took him hell to find it. And not only did it take him hell to find it, only person to put him on was Joel, while everybody else was playing games with him. And then now, 2021, you're talking crazy against Moors? As a whole, like not even a single me out thing or whatever, you're just going at Moors? Trying to put Moors under all these crazy jurisdictions where Moors don't belong? Something happened. You know what happened? Something happened.
You know, On the site, I had the Quran questions for Moorish Americans, the one-on-ones. I had the Divine Constitution. I have the link for the Quran to read. All of these things you can read online. I put up a page with like different videos, like a school or the education tab, because we're supposed to have a school established for learning and teaching. I developed a newspaper. Initially it was a newsletter, actually, and was working towards a newspaper. I really did my best to follow the example and operate under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, not try to do my own, some separate thing and create this, just create the whole new wheel and it's already ready to go. And when it came to getting approval from anybody, I prayed to Allah, and I said, well, who is supposed to be approving me of this? You know what I mean? Because when I was searching out and I had all of these ideas and visions that were coming to me of, what this temple could be, nobody was reaching out to me. Nobody was telling me, or this is what you have to do. But then I went back to the Quran again. And it wasn't for anyone else to give me a charter. It was for the Prophet to issue the charter to any subordinate temple, as long as they're following the rules. And so then, let me explain the idea of hip-hop, or how that even works. You know what I mean? The title itself is International Asiatic Moorish Hip Hop Temple. It's also like an acronym play on letters for I Am Hip Hop, IAMHH. So international, because I wanted to be inclusive of all nations. Asiatic, to make sure that we documented and that we showed the connection of our ancient name and culture being Asiatics. Moorish, obviously, to put on the record that this is a Moorish temple. And in hip-hop, that is a Moorish American, it's a Moorish temple, but hip-hop is a Moorish American culture. It's not a black culture. It's not an African American culture. It's not a Negro culture or a people of color culture or a brown people culture or a nigger culture or a melanated being culture or whatever, whatever name we trying to apply to it. I said, no. We're going to put on the record, make sure that people know that this is documented, that hip hop is a Moorish American culture. So that's why I made sure they included in the subordinate temple name. And also, I'm very clear that it's a subordinate temple. In the full name, I put the number 23 on the end. 2 and the 3 make 5. Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. That was a symbol. And also for Michael Jordan, because Mikael, Chicago being Mecca, Jordan also going back to the east with the Jordan and Moab and all of that. So all of those components, but also I wanted to bring up the fact that I felt that hip hop was a unifying force. It is the peace. It is our culture. It's a culture of peace for Moorish Americans, for Moors, to connect the old with the young, to connect other nations to us, and for us to understand them. It's a economics, revenue stream solution for our people. It's just unfortunate that, up until this point, we've always been giving out our culture and selling it out to corporations and people that don't care about the culture. And it's something, especially in terms of teaching, one, connecting the old with the young in music, but more so about teaching. I feel that this is a very effective way to connect our people that may still be sleeping and may be unaware of us and our history as Moors. So I can include it in the music that I create, visually, via the lyrics. I can use examples of hip-hop artists that have spoken about Noble Drew Ali. Yo, who got hope on the phone with Joe Crack? Me and Bleak had it all the way up, and that's that. What? I'm doing food shows and a podcast. Got everybody watching like a car crash. I reinvented myself. You should applaud me. New logo, a blood beer and a baldy. And Drake and DMX had some old drama. 40 holler that slime, I made it no drama. I told Elliot, you shouldn't compete with me. Homie, we both from Queens, you supposed to eat with me. And you ain't even want to help a little bit. And wouldn't give me the all email. You asked me why, Nori, like you needed the details. What? Cause I'm a motherfucking mogul, nigga. I get it myself, my crew mobile, nigga. Noble you Ali, be that noble, nigga. Hold on, let's make some noise for that guy. Noble you Ali, be that noble, nigga. Hold on, let's make some noise for that guy. Noble you Ali, be that noble, nigga. Hold on, let's make some noise for that guy. I'm a motherfucking power forward. Worse than 5'9" sober, drinking that tapioca. And Reggie said he sue me, he my nigga still. He don't get that I'm petty and I'm a nigga still. And got love for those that I speak about. I'm OG with the splitter, riddle, and refoul. I started as a shooter, I'm a legal boss. CEO, Pino Grigio, greasy talk. Do it different, never weird. So coke the same color as Eric Beard. Numerous hip-hop artists such as my man Noriega, this speaks about Noble Drew Ali, or Common, he spoke about Noble Drew Ali, Stolly, he spoke about Noble Drew Ali, J Electronica, definitely drops jewels, rocks affairs, Yasin Bey changed his appellation for Mos Def, and I believe his original, the corporate name that he was given was Dante Smith. So not only changed his entertaining name, entertainer rapper name to Yasin Bey, but this is also his true identity. And on top of that, put the image of that 77 amazing facts about the Moors with complete proof. You can find this at khalifamedia.com or Amazon. Please purchase. Please support Moors. Shout out to Khalifa Media. Shout out to Cujo that helped me put this together. But enough of the promotion. Let me show you. I don't have a color one with me, so you may not be able to see it too well. Let's see where we at with it. Probably should have went to the table of contents, huh? Do we got table of contents? Yeah. Amazing people. Excuse me, I should have actually known what page this was on, but I kind of don't like to read my own stuff. It feels kind of egotistical, but anyways. Yasin Bey, we have him here. You can't see it too well, but if you look up his album, Ecstatic, you will see that he used the image of Noble Drew Ali at the convention in 1928, where everybody's standing outside on the steps. He used that as his back cover.
Studios, shout out to Green Street.
Jay Lindbergh, I love this.
I know, right?
Yeah, I ain't catching them.
Trust that.
So you want to
Yeah, right. Let me get away from the pink pants.
I'm gonna switch it around.
Alright, so yo, this is the new joint, Ecstatic. That's a still from Killer Sheep. This is the back. Moorish Science Temple. And there is no producers list on this one, but there's more to come. This is not the end. The Ecstatic is ever evolving. But I just wanted to put it out there, let people know, give a shout out to all the producers that worked on the record. Super Magic produced by Oh No. Shout out to Oh No and the Oxnard crew. Twilight Speedball produced by Chad Hugo with additional production from myself. The synths and the keyboards that you hear, that's me. Auditorium produced by Madlib. Production from me as well, featuring Slick Rick. But it's arranged it, Madlib did the beats, and I put it in order. Priorities, preservation. Oh, Wahid is also Mad Lib as well. Let's complete Mad Lib production. Priorities, preservation.
Star Wars worldwide. So you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that there was a switch. A switch happened. You don't know what happened to make the switch happen, but this was the Rami. The majority of the Moors were riding with. This was the Rami. So honors to all the Moors worldwide. If you're getting into this information and you think that, you know, you got gorilla grip and all this, and you could deal with this. Take your time, because you already said that this stuff will mess you up before you mess it up. So don't think that you're gonna be able to, you know, pull something on the forces, because the stuff might backfire. You're going to find yourself in a worse situation out on the street, living out of box because you went against some stuff in this. Salaam, more. You have any closing remarks?
Oh, peace, more. Okay, so I'm not gonna take long because you are wrapping up. I didn't know. Huh?
Yeah, get it out, yo, get it out.
Okay, so this is no, because honestly, this is the thing. This is the thing for me. When I first got into this back in 2012, 2013, whatever, I was still green. Even like 2 years in, I was still green. And I got involved with a Moor back in 2014. And I thought that, you know, when it came to our government, when it came to understanding what I was reading, the literature and all of that, I felt that there was something that I can lean on or call on if I needed to, even though the literature right there in front of me told me to save myself, right? So the situation got to a physical situation to where I felt that I needed protection, and I was told not to, no more should call the European on their brother, even in their wrong. Okay? So now I reach out and I'm calling out for whomever because I'm by myself. But the Moors that I did become affiliated with, I'm thinking that they're going to assist. They didn't. So I had to go ahead and I had to revamp myself. I had to sit back down and study self and figure out how I can protect myself with this information. Okay? Everything in me as a woman told me to go get my arm. And I did. So now anybody step to me the wrong way, the way they know they're not supposed to, everything stops.
They might have to deal with it.
You know what I'm saying? So now understand, this is when we're talking about Rami now, this is somebody who was advocating the same thing that Noble Jew Ali was preaching from 1913. You know, enforce the Constitution, enforce the Constitution, enforce the Constitution. The Bill of Rights states it right there, plain and clear for you. That's the bare minimum of what the rights you have. The bare minimum of the rights you have. And now you have a Moor out there who's willing to die. He would spill his blood. Jamal would spill his, you can see it just off of his determination and his work in 1 year alone. And this fool who have nothing but a fucking YouTube page in front of his motherfucking computer is gonna sit there and gonna edit and copy and click and paste all this shit together to make a Moor who would spill his blood for his nation to look like a quote domestic terrorist. This is not okay. And I want to be the first to say, like, I'm not gonna accept this fool back. Like, he's not accepted to the barbecue. He's not, and I'm not gonna invite him. I'm not gonna do it. If he's there, I'm gone. I'm leaving. That's the motions I'm moving with this one now. And the only way I'm gonna be okay and cool with this one is if Jamal himself tell me, say something out in public like, yo, we squash this, we cool, we clear, everything done. Cause this is not fucking okay. I yield. Peace to the guys. Islam more.
And on that note, can't go after that. Islam to all the Moors worldwide. Peace and love to all. Hopefully this cleared some stuff up. If it didn't, then I don't know what to tell you. Should have got enough today. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to all the mothers. And honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam Moors.